You have to look at it at all angles because it's hard to say how you saw it and what angle it was at. Okay, so that's the truth. Now, okay, now that you've been through it and actually done it, you can see more of what I meant about no expectations, no beliefs, no analysis, no fear. That's easy to say, but it's hard to do, isn't it? It's really hard to keep that blank, calm, detached, scientific observer state. It's not an easy thing to do. That's why we always start with meditation, because that's where you learn to quiet the mind, get rid of the noise, hold that steady state there. So that's why meditation is usually the prescription to begin with, because this is not easy to do without practice. Hopefully you could keep yourself from judging and analyzing. You just could look at it. Notice some of the things you had to learn were to clearly hold multiple intents. You had to hold the intent of the format you wanted the energy body. Then you had to hold the intent of the color scheme, what was black and what was white. Then you had to hold the intent of the view. And you're holding all these intents at the same time, and you can't forget really what you're doing. All the intents have to be stacked and held. The fact that you're working on Ron P, you have to still hold that intent. So it has to be there. This is Ron P. You know, the black is the bad stuff, white's the good stuff. We're looking at this side. Now, why did we have to do all those views and looking around? That wasn't just an exercise, but what that was doing was trying to give you an orientation so that you'd know when you saw that cancer spot on Maureen's breast whether it was right or left. Otherwise, you don't know. You see, if you don't specify which is right and which is left, you'll just get random data as far as right and left goes. Now, in general, when you're healing somebody, it really doesn't matter which is right or left. That's irrelevant. You don't need to ask. But when you're doing for evidence, you do need to ask because you want to know whether you got it right. Some people have a tendency to always flip right to left. Every time they see what's on the right, they see it on the left. They get so consistent at that, they know that when it's on the right, that it's really on the left. They can count on it. So it just depends on you. You have to just do enough experiments to see how you do these things. That's probably because they have a habit of seeing people in a certain way, like looking front on or looking at the back to front. And they don't know it, but they have that habit, and that's just the way they think about it, and that's the way they see it, no matter what they say. So habits can run strong and deep. Okay, so you had all these multiple intents. Notice that that a humanoid shape plus an intent and a little imagination turned into an energy body, right? We looked at energy bodies. We looked at then the egoic or the feeling body. Then we looked at the spiritual body. Okay, now you can see all these as different bodies when you're clairvoyant, and they all look different, and they all have colors and shapes and sizes and things that will mean something to you. What it means to you, you either got it out of a book, or it's just intuitive, or you've practiced enough and then known the people. You know, you look at the Dalai Lama and see what his spiritual body looks like. You know, you just have to do enough practicing so that you have some idea what these things look like with subjects that you have an idea, you know, what it should look like. So it's not as hard as it sounds. It's just a matter of being, what's hard about it is being dispassionate, being just an observer and keeping your intellect out of it. Okay, that's what's hard. Seeing the energy body is not such a hard deal if you can do those things. Okay, so we were saying what the output format was. That's the black and the white, the gingerbread cookie, the form. You know, so that's all our data. Then we're asking for the data. So then the data will show us visual pictures. It'll show us the dark stuff is the bad stuff, and the white is not, or vice versa. Notice the contrast that you got that was improved when you switched the white-black such that the black was the good stuff. If you're looking for very tiny specks, let's say somebody's just had their prostate removed and you want to know if there's any remaining cancer cells in the area. Looking for, let's see all the good stuff is white and the black stuff is black, you get a tiny, tiny little black, because it stands for 2 or 3 little cells, almost an infinitesimal black speck on a field of white. You can't see it. It's almost invisible. Okay, but if you look for something black with white on it, And as that gets more and more unhealthy, the white gets brighter and brighter, where you can see these rays of white light shining out of this black thing. You see? Mind games, right? These are just tools. These are the way we make tools to show us things that we want to see. To get the data, we have to give it an output data that we can interpret. All right? So, let's see, we did some parallel processing because you were listening while you were working. You came and went, and you should have noticed that you could come and go, and it really wasn't that hard. You didn't need a lot of ritual to do it. It was just a matter of your focus. Just using your imagination to see something visual is enough to put you in an altered state. Why? Because when you focus on something visual, you're letting go of all of this. So all your focus is on that visual thing. It's another meditation technique. You can see a soccer ball and then watch the soccer ball rotate a little faster and then slow it down and so on. And that just so focuses your attention that you lose your input from your senses. It's just you and that soccer ball is all that's left in the world. You see, that puts you in an altered state, and it puts you out of this reality frame. You're not in this reality frame anymore. You're in a reality frame of your own with a soccer ball. So just visual objects can put you in an altered state. Okay? So if you don't visualize well, okay, it's shown that females are not as good visualizers as males. If you don't visualize well, then you can do the same thing without the visuals. You intuit it, you feel it, you get a sense of it, and it may not even be easy to describe. I just kind of feel it or know it. That's because you don't interpret your data visually, naturally, and that's fine. You can do fine with that. We start people with visual because we tend to be a very visual culture because we spend so many hours in front of TV sets and, computers and that kind of thing. So we tend to be visual, for one. It works for most men and women in our culture. And two, you get a lot of data that way and a lot of precision with pictures. Pictures worth 1,000 words. So you get a lot of precision. But some people just don't visualize very well. And I say, see a gingerbread cookie, they kind of get this feel of a gingerbread cookie, but they really don't see one. Okay, that's a matter of the way you interpret data. That's okay. Just feel it. That's good enough. Okay, I kind of have a sense of that cookie. I have a sense of that human. I have a kind of sense of that black spot and a sense of that white spot. Don't get hung up on having to see it. Don't get hung up that you're seeing it. Has to be like a high-res photograph. You don't need it that kind of detail. These are just symbols. You just have to have the sense that it's there. There's the black spot in the white spot. We're not looking for high-res photographs of this stuff. That's way too much trouble. These are just symbols. They're just tools, right? This is the output format that we want. This is the graphical format we're asking for. We don't need to have it in, 600 pixels per inch. That's too much. Just enough that we can tell what it is all. That's why I say a humanoid outline. You don't have to see a human being with the pores in their skin. Just some kind of humanoid outline that you can get the data in. This is just an output format. All right. So you went in and out of the altered state. We diagnosed, which means we accessed the database by intent. We healed by intent. Notice we used a lot of tools. We used white light. We used intensity. We used the sunglasses. Okay, that was another mind game to where if you say, okay, I got bright light, what you say, well, actually, you can make it brighter. Make it so bright you can't even stand it. Put on those sunglasses and crank it up, right? Well, that's just, you just give it that extra oomph when you do that, you see. Just tools. Tools we make up.